Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Prep Phase podcast, the official, unofficial podcast for Rainbow Six Siege. And we're going through our second half. We talked about the esports news, things that are changing, everything that's happened at the Six Charlotte Major, and changes that are coming to the game itself. But now we're on the CCTV. You want to talk about and talk to two players that have been around since the earliest days of Rainbow Six competitive play and have done pretty well for themselves and for the squad at the Charlotte Major. It's from OXG, LaXING and FoxA. Gents, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm doing all right. Could be
Just
better.
got back home after the
Could be
major.
better. I'm glad to be home. I'll say that.
Yeah,
Fox?
I'm gonna give it like 1 or 2 more days if I don't get the land sickness that always happens after each event. Then I'll be good. I'll consider it a win.
Fair enough. And you know, I really wanted to talk about the major and all, but before we dig into kind of numbers and games and stuff, how was it to just be there? Because we were talking about this earlier. There's so many. Was it half the players that were at the Charlotte Major have never played on stage, have never seen what a venue with an audience looks like? But you guys have seen it all. You know, you played on so many different stages over the years. How was this experience for you?
At least for me, I would genuinely, at least because we were on OXG and a bunch of people wanted to see us winning, I would say that this event was second to Tokoname, Japan. I'd put it pretty high up there. I think the crowd was ecstatic. I think it was amazing to see everyone back there. And even though there was still, very safe precautions to keep everyone safe, it was still very interactive with everybody. So in terms of setups and stuff we had to deal with at the event, I mean, it could have been better. But in terms of crowd and everything, I put it up there.
I can touch up on what Fox was saying. Yeah, I mean, Tokoname, like granted we're talking about Charlotte here, but like Tokoname was like one of the best experiences also just from like a crowd perspective because they cheered for everyone. They made everyone feel like, they were their team. There was no like quiet for any play that was being made by any team. But going into the Charlotte Major, like we definitely had, in my opinion, and from all the events that Fox was saying that we've been to have like the fans cheering out your team, your name, like this and that, like that was one of the coolest experiences for me. And, I've been doing this for 7 years now. To have that happen 7 years later, it's funny, but like it's also nice to see. But yeah, having the crowd again after so long not having one, it was truly an experience for sure.
I feel like Tokoname was like the start of the sort of luxury brands for you guys. I don't know if one of you posted like a tweet or like a photo of like a bag or something like that you'd gotten from one of these places.
I got my Gucci backpack when I was in Japan. So, there's some significance to my Gucci backpack.
Fair.
So yeah, you aren't wrong at that. But like the whole team was posting stuff that we got.
Oh yeah, I bought this ridiculous like windbreaker. It was like a Balenciaga windbreaker, and on the windbreaker it says Balenciaga Paris, but so no one is gonna know that I got it in Japan. But for some reason, I just thought it would be so cool if I just got it there, and I'd never wear it. It was a complete waste of money. It's like out of all the things I could have bought, like there was actually cool like windbreakers that like you could look at a shirt, and I'd had to buy the one that was a big puffy like oversized. Like I just look ridiculous in it. It's just you can't wear it with anything.
To be honest, I got, what is it? We were in Tokoname for 3.5, 4 days maybe. I'd spent almost 3 weeks after that and before it in Tokyo. It was worth every single penny.
Oh, yeah.
Completely
100%.
worth it. And
100%.
I really hope we get an event again. This is shout out to the Japanese fans out there that might be watching. I would love to go back to your country. It's incredible. I think all of us would jump into it. And you know what? Imagine like players in Tokyo. If an event there, in Tokyo, everybody's walking around well dressed, like this sort of Japanese streetwear, like Harajuku style, for those side streets that you see.
I don't even know what it was called. You're just coming out here with it.
Harajuku is that like space that you see. A lot of those like streetwear photos that come out of Tokyo come from the Harajuku area. So it's a specific area that in Shibuya, which is Shibuya City, one of the cities that makes up Tokyo, Greater Tokyo. That area is known for those streets where everybody's dressed up so well, walks around. And I got to experience it day in, day out because our hotel was not far away from it. So it was It's great. I would love to see this sort of stuff again. I think we've all matured a lot since then, in so many ways. You know,
I mean, I
you'll
got a beard. Fox has got way more face hair than he has. You know, there's definitely some maturing going on. For sure.
Yeah, I got my own beard too.
are you still focusing on the e-boy style, or what's going on, Fox?
I honestly feel like my style has changed a lot. I won't
Mhm.
lie.
Getting a
I
little
feel
more dapper.
Yeah, I feel like I've been transitioning away from like the little things or the things that I've used to be doing, and like also like I still dabble in some high brand designer stuff, but at the same time I'm not as hyper focused on it. And it's like if I really like it, I'll get something. But yeah, I feel like I've been transitioning into a more like formal type of like outfits. Like I like the button ups now. Like I've been wearing those like short sleeve button ups. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm getting into my like my clubbing phases of age. So
He's growing up fast. He's buying Chelsea boots. He's getting
yeah,
Oh, damn! You know
buttons
it's
up.
getting real when you're
yeah.
buying the Chelsea boots.
Now I just got to get rid of the sweatpants. I need like I don't even know what like I wouldn't call them dress pants, but I need like nicer bottom.
He's been wearing the plaid pants going down.
That's
You
Yeah,
know,
you got
actually
like
really good.
business formal look.
chinos, denim.
Yeah,
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 stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure. I think Smart's slowly creeping into my wardrobe as well. I've noticed I wear a lot more shirts than t-shirts.
I've been on that for a
And
while now, and
yeah,
like I
it's
just feel like I'm
scary.
getting older. So like now, I'm about to
You need a
maybe
top hat, a
yeah,
monocle.
yeah, exactly.
Not
That's
yet.
what's
Honestly,
Monocle.
gonna slowly turn into pocket watch.
look, imagine this UK, okay, London event, okay,
Mhm.
UK major,
It's
and
over for me.
everybody's dressed up for the photos. You dress up in like a Victorian style for the photos. Imagine like
That'd be
Assassin's Creed
awesome.
Syndicate kind of thing.
I'd look great.
That'd
100%.
look cool. That'd look
Honestly.
sick.
Put one of those powder wigs on my head too, and get the
Yeah, like the judges or whatever.
yeah, like back in the day. Shit, I'll be solid. Come
Now,
to Washington.
if we went to the UK, I feel like that is probably like the last place I'd be safe at. Those guys despise me.
Why?
Everyone
Is it
in the
just
UK
beans
and
on toast
France.
or what? What's up
I
with the
mean,
UK?
me and Fox definitely like, we've had our fair share of like, kind of not inadvertently, but like that, like, we've roasted the UK a few times. So, there's definitely some things that have came out from the UK Twitter that has like popped up on our feed due to like what we say and then what we say back with. So
Mhm.
I see where Fox is coming from with that.
Mm.
Okay, fair enough. But you talk about food, which is the first thing that pops up when I think about the
Well,
UK.
that ain't
is how
UK.
How's
awful,
that the
awful
first?
UK
That
food.
ain't
Oh,
UK.
okay.
That
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
don't know.
okay.
I don't know how this
No.
is even a discussion.
Yeah,
Honestly, you know-
I thought Milosh was gonna be like talking about food. The
Yeah.
UK, like
No,
there's
no,
some
no.
good, there's some good
Have you
food
ever had
there.
their beans on toast?
Like, you've gotta-
Genuinely, that's
you've-
all
you-
they talk about.
Man, honestly, like you need to wake up. We literally invented MasterChef. Like Gordon Ramsay is Scottish. We've got like there's so much good food in
What
the
does he
UK.
cook? He literally
One of-
cooks not UK food.
One of the
This is
biggest
better.
memes of
Well,
the
there is
UK
no
is like
set meal
bad
from the
food.
UK.
There is no
Like,
what?
there's no like fine dining like meal that you think of when it comes to the UK, unless you like think of like fish and
Crumpets.
chips and
Yeah.
jelly eels and all that stuff.
Exactly,
But
yeah, but so like the thing is like with fine dining, in my opinion, the only like fine dining sort of cuisine would be French.
Kind of
But then,
overrated.
aside from
Italian,
that,
overrated.
you can make everything fine dining if you want to.
it's true.
Like you can make fine dining fish and chips, and there'll be a place in the UK that does that.
I ain't eating it.
I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be
Anyway,
Good
sure
food.
there's gonna
I'm
be
trying.
decent stuff there, but
I
the
will say, in
majority-
terms of junk food that's in the UK, they have some pretty good chips. Like there's this chip. It's like I don't know what the Lay's. It's like Lay's over there.
Walkers.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So
Yeah.
they have these this flavor called smoky bacon crisps, and
They're
like
fire.
that shit. I mean, that shit's good. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wish I had those chips here, but aside from that, everything else to me is kind of.
How about this? Listen, on Ubisoft's bill, right? Why don't they take us all to the UK?
Yeah.
Next event there, whatever, and then just pay for a bunch of different foods. I mean, I think that's a great idea for
Imagine
type of content.
a collaboration with the city of London where we walk around in the city and we just kind of try different things. What is it to visit London? I would just throw an idea.
Collaboration, like who are we, Milosh? Like
What? Hey, PGL did that for the PGL Krakow Major back in 2016, and I
Listen.
watched that and actually wanted to visit the city just because of it. Little did I know that a year later I'd be working like 20 minutes away from the city itself, so it's completely
Listen,
worth it.
Did you used to
Yeah.
work in hospitality, Lex?
Yeah, I did. I worked in a bar/restaurant, and then also a restaurant. I worked as a chef, well, a cook, not a chef. But then I basically did it all. Like I did hosting, I did waiter for a bit, I did cooking for a bit, I did dishes for a bit. So I hated working in food because just smelling like food every single day was like,
Yeah.
I was over it. I was over it pretty fast.
You know, if I ever get to make it to North America, especially to the US, I want some legit like Mexican food. It's nigh impossible to find in Europe.
So
I found
most Europeans don't even know what a Mexican is. I'm gonna be honest.
that's completely true.
I know.
Then again, what I've seen, some Americans will go to Spain and be like, "Do I pay in pesos here?" I'm not even joking. I literally
Really?
saw that in front of me in Valencia. So don't worry. Valencia, yes, as
Valencia.
Valencia, as they would say. But Mexico, like Canada, had actually like some good Mexican places that I went to.
That's the
and
best Mexican food I've ever had. Was in Montreal.
That sounds so like. Listen, I'm like
There's
I
a
might
lot of
not look
immigrants
it-
in
I might not
Montreal.
look
Huh?
it.
Huh.
I'm Mexican and I come from a Mexican family, and like obviously, like I've grown up with authentic Mexican food. But to say that you've had the best Mexican food in Canada,
Yeah, but you put it into context. The
Hey,
best
hey,
Mexican food that
Ollie,
I've had.
he's inviting us over for good Mexican food. That's
yeah,
what
you
it
guys
means.
you guys can come to the family.
You invite me over for dinner, bro. I'm there.
Cookout.
Like,
You can just
I
go to
mean,
the
say
West
less.
Coast. Go to the West Coast,
Yeah,
find like one of those like trucks,
100%.
those like taco trucks on the side, and
Street
I
vendors.
swear to God, they're just it's an unreal amount of flavor they put
You
in
know,
those things.
this is like most like immigrant places that you walk into. As Arab myself, what I see here in Europe is like if the restaurant also has like what you would call an imbis, or like a space where you can just buy market stuff from them, and you can see the grandma or the abuela or whatever sitting in the back. You know this is a legit family place, and you're gonna get the
Yeah.
good stuff from them.
Yeah.
That's the one you're looking
One-
for.
100%.
One thing that my parents always said is if you walk into an establishment and there are people
Of the
from
different,
that culture that
Yeah.
are eating there, then you know it's going to be a good
yeah,
place.
you know it's
Yeah,
good.
true. Anyways, from then on, it's always good to chat about this sort of stuff with you guys. But from this moment, we move on to OXG's performance at the major, and we want to preface all of this by stating, you were in Group A. Elevate were not there. You topped that group, great, but you also came in with 2 new players on the squad. What was that transition from Invitational into Stage 1 NAL?
First of all, I just want to preface by saying we went into our group 4-0, and if Elevate was there, we would have went into it 6-0. I don't think there was a single team in our bracket that could have competed with us. Now, that being said, it was a huge, drastic change, I guess, before the event, wondering if Dream and Newers, how they would, gel at technically their first international event. So there was a lot of preparation going into it and a lot of, I guess, questions on how everything would be. But once the game started getting going, I think we could have been in the best possible group to get those guys situated, because obviously the teams that we were playing against weren't incredible, crazy land winning teams, but they also weren't terrible teams. So it was a good first step in the door for both Dream and Newers, and for the whole team to kind of get situated in this new environment. Although I already know Lex is going to say it, the chairs that they had were not good. So that was the
Like,
only challenge we had to deal with.
we had an Office Depot like sponsorship or something. Like we had
some cushions.
We had, but well, yeah, because I was the one that started that whole thing. Like before our game, I was like, listen, I'm not playing if I don't, because like this is what the chairs were like, right? I'm gonna give you a brief example. Like they were leaned back this far and they were locked there. Like there was nothing to change that. So like, I sit up, like I tend to think like I have really good posture when I play. Like I use lumbar supports and everything. Like I like to sit up straight. But when I'm back here, and this is how you have to play, and then on top of it, the arms, like don't even get me started on the arms. But anyways, it was just overall like they were terrible chairs. So it was rough. And I told them like I'm not gonna play like unless I have something to like support my back and that can, I can kind of feel. So yeah, the setups were awful in that aspect. We had better setups in our practice room area for chairs and everything than what was actually on the stage.
Okay.
Something that I wanted to ask, and it sort of ties in nicely with what you were talking about, Fox. Over the course of the weekend, obviously, everyone that has spoken about the major, whether they've been doing a podcast, whether they've been on the desk or whatever, they've all been talking about sort of rookies coming in. So people with very little experience. There were so many inexperienced, air quotes, players coming in that had never done an event. Your team was really nice because there's you two who've been around forever. You've got all this experience. You've traveled internationally. You've done all sorts of different things in terms of playing and traveling, and then you're able to bring that to the new players' dreams and doers. So, what does that really look like? Because it's something that really gets spoken about, but is that a conversation you have with them? Like, do you set expectations, or what's the thought process around it?
That's a good question. You go first.
I'll say, so like, no matter, and like Fox can touch up on this too, and you know, me and Fox have been a team for a long time, and also Vert. Like, let's not forget Vert. Like, Vert is also a huge,
yeah, for sure,
factor for our team as well, and he has tons of experience, just like me and Fox do. But I think I can speak for everyone on our team. Is like, no matter the roster change and what's happened, we've made tons of roster changes, as everyone knows that's followed our team. You know, like, we've been doing this for a long time. So, you know, no one here is going to get complacent to be a point like, you know, we're just happy to be in Pro League. We're just happy to be placing this. Like, no matter who we pick up, like, I 100% try to reinforce it into everyone's heads that we pick up. Like, you know, we're picking you up because we believe that you're going to make this team better and you can help us improve and maintain a top position, but not only maintain a top position to getting first place. And if we aren't getting anything, you know, past that, and we're just not reaching those expectations, changes will happen. Like, it's plain and simple. I've been doing this for, like, speaking for myself now, I've been doing this now for 7 years. And, you know, if I'm not still making lands, I'm not placing top 4, I'm not, you know, even in contention for, you know, a potential first place, then I don't want to be a part of it. Like, plain and simple. I don't want to be dealing with that. Like, I don't want to be wasting any more time. I don't have any more time to just sit here and, you know, have one good season and then the next one be completely terrible and not make it. Like, so the expectations are set extremely high for this team.
Yeah, I would say that at least for more of building players up, I feel like we found a really good system, especially going through all of it with Kino and Yogg prior, and now seeing how successful they are on their own team, trying to do the exact same thing, but, you know, on a brand new roster with 3 rookies. Well, I guess 2 rookies and Spirits. I wouldn't consider Spirits a rookie. And I think we've shown that as a team, like, we just know what fundamentals you need to instill in a player to just make them an all-around great player. You know, teams talk about teams like DZ where, like, oh, they make a really good, they have really amazing teamwork and they're all about teamwork and everything like that. And I think, you know, different teams have different systems that work for different players. So I don't know if a player like Newers would have been successful or crazy on a different team, like, you know, a team like DZ. He might have, but he might not have. So I think with us, the biggest thing is just making sure that it's kind of like a family first in a way. I feel like we're just the core of our team, just me, Lax, and Vert, and our 2 coaches, Hopes and Redeem. Like, we're very close together. Like, we're, you know, we like to have fun and we like to be like a family pretty much of like brothers. So I think that's a big thing that a lot of people strive for when they're kind of leaving high school, you know, going to pursue gaming as a career, and they're coming into an actual team that takes care of you in real life instead of just like, oh yeah, like, you know, to treat it like a job, wake up 9 a.m., practice, don't talk to me for the rest of the day. Like, you know, I think that's something that we offer that a lot of teams just don't necessarily offer that. And that's nothing wrong to their system, but they just have different players, different personalities, different mindsets. So,
and I think to just even touch up with what Fox was saying, like, in terms of that environment, we also, I think our team specifically, because, you know, a lot of teams in the past, I'm not even talking now, like, you know, when they make 1 roster change or 2 roster change, like, you see them struggle. You see them not even be the team that they were prior. And given our results, like, we've always maintained top 4 with every roster change that we've done. So obviously, you know, to what our regimen is and like how we do it, like, clearly, you know, there is success rate that shows. But touching up on that and elaborating more on it, I think giving new players, you know, a shot as well, and then also letting them kind of play, you know, like, kind of how they want. Like, you know, we aren't so like, you know, this is our team, you know, you're going to listen to what we want, like, this is this, blah, blah, blah. Like, we do give the player the ability to be their own player and kind of set their own standards. Obviously, you know, we have, like I said, you know, this certain regimen and like what we hold, you know, accountable to players and what needs to be done to be met in certain criteria. But as a new player, we do allow new players to be themselves, to kind of figure out where they want to be at in terms of roles and, you know, what works best for them. Like, that's the that's the one thing that I will say, just teaming with Fox and Vert for as long as I have, is the flexibility. Just with us three, we can make new players and bring in new players and get them comfortable almost immediately, right away, than what I think some teams do, because some teams are so stuck on like, okay, this is what we've been for so long and this is what we're going to continue to do. And it takes players a lot longer to adjust to that versus, like I said, with ours, we allow the player to kind of, try to find what works with them and then integrate it with how me, Fox, and Vert work. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's just a little more touched up on that.
That's great you bring that up because I feel like our team is so good at flexibility and like doing whatever needs to be done, and people don't talk about that. Sometimes depending on roster changes, like half of our roster is playing musical chairs with finding a role. But if you go to a different team that's very structured and you put one guy who's used to playing, I don't know, like I don't know, is Finca LMG, and then you're like, all right, dog, well, you got to play a Rooney with 12 bullets in a mag and play it in this spot, and then all of a sudden their brain explodes. So I feel like we're one team that, people don't really talk about how, everybody's switching to fit everyone and make everybody as comfortable as possible.
It's the
Yeah.
flexibility of a team in general, but also the individual players themselves being able to get on any roles. Do you think that helped you out when going up in the quarters against BDS? Because a lot of people would say the same about BDS in Europe. We heard there was maybe a rivalry being built, OXG and BDS, cores that have been around forever that go up against one another in
Yeah.
this big venue. It got close, and at any point in time, this game could have slipped either way.
At any point in my life, I've always considered BDS a team that was overrated. I feel like people are always BDS event, BDS event. It's never going to be BDS's event. I feel like the attitude that they bring to the game is what prevents them from being that team to win a tournament. But my whole thing is I think European teams are very structured, and at one point in the game, that meta was heavily favored. But now with
Mhm.
the hyper aggression and adaptability, I feel like European teams struggle to that adaptation and to that aggressive play style that I guess Brazil and NA are thriving in right now. And at least for BDS, we knew that as long as we played our game and tried to call, the flexible changes that we needed to do, that we would be able to kind of bring it over. And again, yeah, we have the players that have that clutch potential that can always explode in a round. So for us, yeah, like you're saying against BDS, you may say that they're pretty, unpredictable and they switch things up. I think that they didn't switch enough up. And when it came to our game, especially in those last overtime rounds, like, we ended up calling some pretty on the fly type of plays. And, we just had the players that made them work. So I think that's what kind of pushed us forward against them.
Yeah, and to even just say, like, throughout me and Fox's career, I don't think we've ever really had a solid five. I think we've
Mhm.
always had, and it's not to like knock any former teammates or anything like that. And some players work better on other teams or, just didn't work overall. But like, I feel like with me and Fox, especially in the beginning, we never always had like a strong five where like a lot of these rosters that are, on top or competing at the highest level like have always had like a very structured team across the board, whereas like I said, we didn't have that. And to still maintain, and that's where just touching back on, like, I don't think we get enough credit, is like we have maintained a top position. And like, I'm not one to brag about getting fourth place, third place, because like I want to be winning it, but like to maintain that consistency with not having a strong five across the board, whereas like now, prior to Kino and Yog, like that was, I think, the strongest I've ever felt as
Mhm.
a team. And then, then transitioning into Ethan and Mitch and like thinking that we're even stronger with the five that we have now versus than it was when it was just two players carrying the team or three players carrying the team. Like having the rosters now, like I feel way more confident in the future, in our professional careers than what, it kind of was back then where, we were doing, even more just to make things happen. Whereas like now, like I said, we have the strong five that we didn't for a long time.
What does that actually change in your gameplay now with the two-player change on the squad?
I
I
don't,
think
I'll let you.
I was gonna say to keep it quick, I think it changes like different play styles because there are some situations where players are so used to after you get a kill, going for the second, going for the third,
Mhm.
trying to get those clips. And I think when you have a solid team where everyone plays their spot perfectly, you don't have to do that as much. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that you try to work in. If you look at a team like DZ, they do that perfectly. Like Hyper could get 4 kills and still they don't break, they don't move, and Hyper's not running around to go get the 5th. You know, they're just focused on the win. So I think that's the biggest thing when you see that change in players and playstyle.
I think something that is maybe a little bit too sort of stigmatized is making changes. You know, like you touch on there about you're a team that has, you know, as a core has been able to achieve, you know, so many top 4 finishes without this sort of consistent 5. Obviously teams that have, you know, done really well this year domestically, not necessarily internationally, teams like W7M, pretty much a really brand new roster. Like there's only a couple of remaining players there. Team 1 were a little bit of a surprise as well, you know, a team built entirely around Lagonis. Do you think that there's too much sort of pressure for teams not to make changes and just to make things work versus actually trying to find this winning formula, keeping to your core values, but not, you know, just trying to stick with it and be stubborn, just saying, yeah, like we don't play well together?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes to a realization at some point in your career, like, you know, you really begin to analyze things a lot more in depth than maybe what you were, you know, at the start of your career. I mean, that should happen naturally just with more experience. And I think, you know, it's not a one size fit all for teams. Clearly, you know, it's not like me and Fox have won every single event. So, you know, there's still obviously things that we can change or do to, you know, make things better overall, but like, you know, it's still maintained, you know, it's still got us to maintain a top position in, you know, what we're doing, which, you know, is important, but like obviously me and Fox want to be winning, like, but still, so I don't think it's a one size fit all, but I think it is important to be flexible. I think that is a very important thing that I think some teams do struggle with, is that flexibility. Is, you know, you're so stuck in one way instead of trying to figure out, like, you know, maybe if I did this or maybe I did that. Like Fox has jumped between roles and IGL, this, that. Like, you know, I think it's important just even for certain people in certain positions to be doing those things, doing those adaptations. So, like I said, I don't think it's a one size fits all. I think the biggest thing that teams should be doing, whether it's hesitation of roster, this, that, is just like learning to be flexible and trying to make something work before you end up removing, you know, something from the equation.
So what happened in the semis?
Honestly, we just, you know, we're so, I mean, granted, you know, it's a brand new roster and everything, but we, you know, we figured out how to play APAC within the time that we had. We figured out how to play Brazil within the time. We figured out how to play EU within that time. And then once it actually got back to our own region, we just completely forgot how to play against it. We completely forgot how to adapt to it. We completely forgot how to just play against it. And that was a clear showing. I mean, granted, I will say Astralis were playing lights out Siege, but even for us, like, we just couldn't get the fundamentals that we had throughout all of NAL, you know? So I don't want to knock anything from Astralis. I think they played great. We just, once it came to that, if we played how we played against BDS, but playing that style versus another North American team, it wouldn't have worked. We had to play our regular North American style versus another North American style. And, you know, it would have worked out. But one, I don't want to say it would have worked out, but it would have been a lot closer in rounds than obviously what we showed.
Yeah, I think we've always been that team where we're so good internationally, and I would consider us like one of the NA's best like international teams. Like, you know, you look at TSM, like, yeah, they might be doing bad domestically, but they go to invite, they win invite. You know what I'm saying? So I think us, like, no matter what, internationally, will always be good because of our play styles. But NA team specifically, it's just almost like, you know, those guys just are really good at reading what we do, and we need to be able to adapt quicker in the that regard. Now, when you're playing against a team that doesn't know you, like BDS or an APAC team or a Brazilian team, they will take that extra second to, I guess, kind of try to strategize like what you're doing and how to counter it and like how to just attack something. But from us, we're expecting them to do the unexpected because we don't really know what they're doing. Now, against an NA team like Astralis, where we played against them, we scrimmed against them, we kind of know what each other do. Those guys will be a lot more sporadic because they've known what we do for longer. Whereas, like, we don't really know what they're doing. And when we try to adapt, we're taking that extra second, but we don't have that extra second because they have a really good grasp on what we're doing. So they're abusing the fact that it's taking us that long. And then that builds a little bit of hesitation. And yeah, honestly, I just think that Astralis, they played amazing that day. I will not lie. They played incredible. They played incredible the whole tournament, but that day, that was their, like, they're going to go to finals day. Like, everything they were doing, every movement we made, every play we did.
Everything was in sync. Like, they were
Yeah.
capitalizing off like any mistake. Like, we literally couldn't get a foot in the door in any of the rounds. So it was like, you know, It's obviously unfortunate. I think had, there would have been a losers bracket. I think had we gone to a losers bracket, I think everyone would like got the understanding, because that was our first loss. Like we went the whole
Yeah.
stage, group stage
It was a
playoffs
bad
6-0.
time. Yeah.
So it was like, I feel like had we had, like a losers bracket, I think we, it would have been a mental reset. I've been like, okay, like let's put the loss behind us. Let's focus up the rest. But like, that was kind of it. It clearly showed, we couldn't get a foot in the door. It was, 7-1, 7-2, that was that. So, there were things to take from that. As yes, I don't personally want to use the excuse, we're a brand new team, I'm happy we made the strides that we did, because like this is expected. This is what should be the case. It's just moving forward, like, taking from what happened with Astralis and, then, fundamentally just working that in all of our heads moving forward, going into the next stage, going in even into the next major, that, we're going to be more prepared and be more on the fly when those things need to be happening.
Okay.
I think if anything, it's almost more impressive given the fact that, if you think about what you've been doing over the last 6 months, you've picked up 2 new players. So you haven't really had an off season after SI like a lot of teams do in the lead up to stage 1, because you'll have been onboarding.
You can see it under my eyes. We haven't had a.
You look tired from it, like, you know what I mean. So like for you guys to then do very well in NAL, you even beat Astralis, I think, wasn't it, in like the second play day or something?
It was like
7-2,
7-3, something like that.
It was early on in the stage though, like second play day.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You were able to beat Astralis, so you beat them ages ago. It just didn't. I don't know. It just seemed like the rock in the road. Like you don't look at the rock and all of a sudden it's there. Don't focus on the rock. Don't focus, and you hit the rock. Because I had you guys down as taking it, and I was thinking, Oxygen looking good. Like, the whole crowd were behind you as well.
I was seeing OXG liquid in the final. That's
why it's disappointing. Like, I can handle a loss. I've had my ups and downs through my career. I've had my losses. I've had my wins. But it's like to lose like that, like without putting up an effort, like that's what hurts the most. If it was like the games like BDS where it was going 8-7, 8-6, like, I'd feel more comfortable about the loss. But to just go out like that and just look like we just didn't even play like that, that's what hurts the most, is that we just didn't even look like the team that we were looking like throughout the entire NAL or throughout the entire groups going into playoffs.
Fair enough. But, the trophy remains in North America. Now, you played Astralis, and of course, they went to the grand final. They lost to Dark Zero eventually. DZ, we got Canadian players, been around forever, much like you two. Trophy still goes to them. How does it feel to not have, Europe turn around and say, we told you so. We're going to win this. Keep winning this from now on.
Well, I was never. So, I mean, let me say this.
Who said that in Europe, Milosh?
I was never worried about Europe ever to begin with. Like, let me make this straight. The only reason why Europe had a face on the map in the first place was because of Penta and G2. Like, that was the only reason. Like, that team back then, like, that was the only reason why Europe was on a map. And so to think of like Europe, like, I don't care. Like, it's irrelevant to me. NA has improved a ton. LATAM hasn't improved a ton. APAC even has improved a ton. So I was never really worried about Europe. I personally think Europe was only known just because of G2 and Penta, which is, to be fair, because they were winning everything. So then you have LATAM come around and, then they start placing better. They're making it out of playoffs. They're doing this and that. They win invite. They're the top 3 teams at invite. And then even at the next invite, they were up there as well. And there was only one European team being Empire. And I will say, I won't forget about Empire. Empire had like a really good showing, not as consistent as obviously G2 and Penta, but like over like supremacy, all that stuff. Like, it was G2 and all that stuff. So I was never really worried about EU, but having the trophy back here at home, like, yeah, it's great. I'm happy. NA, like, it clearly has shown, like all the teams, NA teams were in the playoffs. And then I think at invite, all of NA was at least top 8 or top 12. I think SSG went out top 12, and then the 4 of us stayed top 8, and then we won it. So yeah, obviously for like a regional thing, like, yeah, it's great that NA's, on top and doing this, but I wanted to win it. I mean, I wanted to be the ones of why, we won the event. So, but, DZ played great throughout the event. Astralis played great throughout the event. All the NA teams showed up. So yeah, I will say overall, I'm happy it is an NA.
Did you guys see my tweet? I actually won the major.
Did you? Wait.
Yeah, did you see the tweet?
Wait.
I don't think I saw it.
I had the trophy.
It was a pretty good one.
Can we pull Fox's tweet up?
Did you steal the trophy?
No.
I
It
need
looked
to
like
see
a cool trophy, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
it was a very
trophy.
cool trophy.
Nah, you'd have to see
Oh.
my tweet.
Oh, I have seen it. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I won the major.
Honestly, not bad at all. Honestly, that seeing the was that a drunk tweet?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Oh boy,
How'd
was
you
this
guess?
after party? No, because it said, quoted it. Why do my drunk tweets always bang?
I'm so surprised with how well that tweet did. I did not think it was gonna like do that good. I was at the house and I just
Just
saw
fired it.
a bust and I was like, oh, that looks exactly like the trophy. It'd be funny if I took a pic with it, especially with the DZ guys. They were all around me too, so I thought it would be funny.
Oh, you weren't lying whatsoever. I mean, you even had a photo where you were showing off the buns, right?
That was that you or was that of Ethan?
Was it?
No, that was Newers.
That was Ethan. He
That was
posted a
Newers.
picture of
Yeah,
Ethan.
yeah.
That
That's
was
true.
Newers twerking.
There's a picture of me on there, and let me say, I got a wagon on me.
I mean, you know what? That's
What do you say to that?
It's a great way to wrap up.
I mean,
Thanks
look,
for watching.
glute workouts or something else. They really do the work. So
Mine came natural. It's the Latino heat
you
in
go.
me.
shout out to all the homies out there. Keep rocking it. That's all we're gonna say about it. LaXFox, thank you very much for joining in. To end it all, stage 2 and the next major. What do we look forward to?
I'll let Fox take it away.
I think for stage 2, our biggest thing is just having a different type of play style and being able to, I guess, deepen our, not necessarily our strategy, but the way that we play off of each other based off different regions. First event, we have a lot to learn and a lot to go over. So stage 2 last year was pretty abysmal for us. So I think, as long as we keep the same type of aggression and play style and, add the improvement that we learned from this event, and we make it to this next event, then, I don't know. I don't see us slowing down just yet. So hopefully we'll be there at the next event, and maybe that one, we'll end up leaving with the trophy.
Better be. Shit. Getting tired of 3rd and 4th place.
What are you guys both thinking about, just quickly, about 2 operators coming?
Actually, yeah, now that everything's allowed, we got
Because now that
Sense,
everything's
we got
like you were talking about, your flexibility, adaptability, like, are we going to see Sense? Are we going to see a lot of it, or have you guys not made a judgment?
I mean, Azami is definitely going to be someone that I think is going to be used a lot just because of the angles that you can make, the cutoffs you can make with her. So I definitely saw her getting a ton of use. I haven't watched a lot of stuff on Sense. Is that the name?
Yes.
The operator?
Yeah.
I haven't seen too much of the ability. I've seen some stuff from what people are posting, and it looks like Glaz can instantly look through it without even needing to charge the scope.
Yeah.
Which to me, I saw that's already going to be kind of an issue, because you can just have Glaz just run in and not be seen, and he can look through it no problem. So I think there's obviously gonna be things that are gonna need to be changed. You're gonna see some meta changes up, but I think Azami is definitely gonna get more use, and just like even beneficial for teams use than I think Sense will bring.
Yeah, Zami's going to change up a couple different things on defense. I could already picture like the loser Lamo teams that are all about like strategy and stuff, just making
all
weird
European teams.
Yeah, I was thinking more DZ, man. I can't wait to see the cringe shit they do. Put a wall here, you go to punch it, you get your toe shot off. Like, oh my god. This guy just won
I
a
think you'll see
major, like-
cooler stuff and how we use Azami than you'll see what other teams bring. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some nerdy stuff that comes from Azami for sure.
All right. I'm really looking forward to it then. LaXFox, thank you very much. I know you basically just got home from the major, so thank you so much for joining us on the second episode of the prep phase and the XRTROIKA, of course. That concludes our on the CCTV section, and now we'll move on to our last one with X. So, LaXFox, thank you again.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, for a final segment for today's prep phase, episode number 2, It's time for Reddit droning. Our final segment. We're going to keep this one short. We've already spent a lot of time talking about the important bits, the changes, and of course, a great interview with Lax and FoxA. Of course, all of this brought to you by our great sponsors of Predator Gaming that make this all happen. Doesn't you with the truth? That's not something you usually hear often, do you, X?
Never.
All I'm saying is y'all need a UK event. He's even using y'all, appropriating American culture. We'll show you a chant or 12, not this let's go blah blah.
They tried, didn't they? Bless them. They tried. If anybody watched the finals, you could just sort of hear a pocket of very loud Brits, and it included Des, and Tim. And they were trying to come out with. There was even a video on Twitter of Des trying to get the like the Will Griggs on fire. It was like Astralis on fire, DZ are terrified. Like it was a bit weak,
Oh,
Des, but you
no.
tried. I would agree though. I think that they're a better chance than Let's Go.
Yeah, I think we need to bring the major to Europe with an audience. I mean, the UK fans are just another level with chants, but because it's in English. But if you go to France, you hear chants in football fields. Germany, it's another world. So overall, let's just keep all the majors in Europe or in Asia. We sign off on that, right? CEO of Rainbow Six. Thank you very
Signature.
much.
Done.
There it is. So up onto our next one, a bit of drama with Latam players. A certain player that just did not stop the whole time. Guess all we got to say, sometimes for coaches, it's good to babysit and tell your players to log out of Twitter or just take their phones away. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely time to stop, isn't there?
Yeah.
When the fun stops, stop. And even if the fun never started, stop.
Just stop.
Just stop.
Just stop is what we're saying.
There's a time to put the phone down. And I think that we maybe got there for a few people over the course of this major, particularly on Twitter.
We crossed the line and then some. Our trophy for the 6th Charlotte Major was a sexy bust of Thermite. I never thought I'd be saying something like that, but here we are, and a hell of a trophy. I really like the Shattered World style that they went through for this event.
Yeah, it was really strange, wasn't it? Because the you looked at all the artwork and stuff, and obviously you think about the Sweden major, it was like a very sort of starry night, sort of northern lighty kind of theme, a little bit phase skin-esque, which is beautiful because they won it. Obviously after the fact that they'd already made a skin, so it was kind of weird. But this major was strange in terms of the branding, in that you don't really think of Charlotte and immediately think of anything in particular. At least I don't. So to see this like dusty end of the world sort of post-apocalyptic vibe of all these like hanging meteors and stuff like that were in all the sort of B-roll and stuff, I thought it was awesome. And then the trophy, just nobody wants a glass trophy that you can't see that just looks shiny and like, give me Thermite's head, white with a marble effect on it. That's what people want. And
it's a good thing it stayed in North America, because imagine getting trophy. I mean, there are players out there in every sort of esport that have tried to kind of take their trophy through airport security. Let's just say that sucks. But try explaining that to your TSA agent. Would love to hear that conversation.
To be honest, Milosh, we didn't even want it in EU.
No, I don't think we'll ever need to have one here.
Nah, we saw the trophy and we thought, you know what? Nah, you're all right.
It's too much of a hassle. We've been saying that for 2.5 years, so here we are. Good to know. Good to know where it all comes from. Well, on the topic of teams that actually made it to the stage, Team 1, against all odds, with 3 players on the stage, including Lagotness, as some would say, 2 players arriving as cardboard cutouts. That was quite heartwarming, wasn't it?
These guys made the best of a bad situation. To see you look at the smile on Lagotness's face, and it's genuine. It's like, big crowd, we've made it. We didn't all make it, but some of us made it. And to think the work that's gone on to actually get those boys to the major, to play the group stage remotely, then figure out visas in that time, and then send 3 players. Credit to the org, credit to Lagonis, and credit to the team as a whole. I think under different circumstances, I don't know how much of they were playing off adrenaline. I think a lot of that really came into it. They won that first best of
Probably.
3. They won that first map, so I think something came into it there. But yeah, I think the cardboard cutouts. There was a post actually on the official account, and it was they were tearing down the show, and there's just these like 2 cardboard cutouts like on top of all of like the boxes and stuff.
Oh.
So I don't think they even got home.
Honestly, they should have just like organized a giveaway for them, something in Brazil. That would have
I want
been.
to see him at every event.
Honestly, I know he's not here anymore, but I want a cardboard cutout of Fox. That's just my personal, I guess, fantasy at this point. And finally, typing GG before your teammate is dead is so disrespectful. That was the general vibe that we were getting as the game was live. I was co-streaming and I heard the same thing being said in chat, on Twitter, on wherever. It yeah, in that situation, I mean, it was a 5v4 advantage for G2, still lost it, right? EU team throwing around, they should have won in every single way. Who would have thought? But what's your take on typing GG before the round is over?
Everybody knows what's going to happen, right? Everyone knows the outcome of that round. You don't need to preempt it in any way because it's going to be over in the maximum amount of time it could be is however long's left on the clock. And there isn't usually long. So for me, I'd just rather that you just express your frustration elsewhere instead of smacking GG in, because and I don't know, I guess it depends on the person who's left alive and what their sort of personality type is, but I would feel like there was like a lack of faith in me to get the job done and like do the impossible, because it's Siege, crazy things that do happen.
True.
But yeah, I just think you wouldn't expect the person that's doing the clutching to just take a hand off the keyboard and for the whole team to stand up and be like, oh well, and the clock's still ticking down. You wouldn't expect that. So why drop the GG?
Agreed. There would have been better situations to kind of have that in. Just even though the writing was on the wall and it was already done,
everyone knows what's going to happen. Yeah,
just give it a moment. Give it that second. It's completely worth it. Well, X, this marks the end of our Reddit droning. Today, we didn't spend as much time on this sort of bit as we did on the first episode of Prep Phase because there was so much to talk about and a great interview with Lax and Fox. Thank you to Demo for joining me, and thank you to both you and Demo, Ollie. You both joined in with literally 3 hours. Heads up on it, because unfortunately running time zones for people on different ends of the planet is more difficult than anybody would have thought it would be.
We need to get Milosh a couple more watches.
I only have one, and it's a watch. I bought a watch for 95 euros, and that's it.
Yeah, you need an NA watch, an EU watch, and an APAC watch.
There we go. Get it. Honestly, this
Clocks
wall,
on the wall.
You know what I want to do with this wall is like I want to turn this wall into a place. No, this camera angle doesn't show the whole thing, but I have like an old map. I already have some old like 200-year-old maps that I want to add on here. Some flags, maybe some old advertisements. Oh, it's all gonna look so cozy. So that's the goal. It's gonna be like a globetrotter kind of thing. Who knows? Maybe some of them will be watches, turned towards specific parts of the world. Maybe one of them will be just siege time, as Tim and Ace, as Ace and Des.
It's the Tim and Ace show, isn't it? Really,
Tim and Ace show. Honestly, that's all I'm there for. Well, X, thank you very much. Anything you would like to say to people out there, and on behalf of Demo, I guess.
On behalf of Demo,
yes, you can say whatever you want.
It's a dangerous one to give me the power to say that. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's nice getting stuck into a bit more podcast stuff, a bit more of an informal chat, and sort of mixing those two things in. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave your feedback down below wherever this is posted, and have the great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for watching Prep Phase. I hope you enjoyed everything. Please let us know in the comments what you thought about all of this. If there's some things you'd like to be done for our next episode, which will be more in preparation for our next stage of, I guess, competition in general, all regions, but especially on EU League, which is where our team kind of focuses on. So let us know. That was Reddit droning our final segment. Went through esports news. It went R6 Cap, CCTV, and now the end of it all. Thank you again, X Demo, LaXInG, and Fox for joining me today. And we will see you on our next episode. Thank you so much to our sponsor that makes it all happen, Predator Gaming. Till then, take care. We love you. Bye-bye.